A reading from the first book of Kings. The Queen of Sheba, having heard of Solomon's fame, came to test him with subtle questions. She arrived in Jerusalem with a very numerous retinue and with camels bearing spices, a large amount of gold and precious stones. She came to Solomon and questioned him on every subject in which he was interested. King Solomon explained everything she asked about, and there remained nothing hidden from him that he could not explain to her. When the Queen of Sheba witnessed Solomon's great wisdom, the palace he had built, the food at his table, the seating of his ministers, the attendance and garb of his waiters, his banquet service, and the burnt offerings he offered in the temple of the Lord, she was breathless. The report I heard in my country about your deeds and your wisdom is true, she told the king. Though I did not believe the report until I came and saw with my own eyes, I have discovered that they were not telling me the half. Your wisdom and prosperity surpassed the report I heard. Blessed are your men. Blessed these servants of yours who stand before you always and listen to your wisdom. Blessed be the Lord your God, whom he has pleased to place you on the throne of Israel. In his enduring love for Israel, the Lord has made you king to carry out judgment and justice. Then she gave the king 120 gold talents, a very large quantity of spices and precious stones. Never again did anyone bring such an abundance of spices as the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Responsorial Psalm. The mouth of the just murmurs wisdom.
The mouth of the just murmurs wisdom.
Commit to the Lord your way. Trust in him, and he will act. He will make justice dawn for you like the light. Bright as the noonday shall be your vindication.
The mouth of the just murmurs wisdom.
The mouth of the just man tells of wisdom, and his tongue utters what is right. The law of his God is in his heart, and his steps do not falter.
The mouth of the just murmurs wisdom.
The salvation of the just is from the Lord. He is their refuge in time of distress, and the Lord helps them and delivers them. He delivers them from the wicked and saves them, because they take refuge in him.
The mouth of the just murmurs wisdom. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Mark. Jesus summoned the crowd again and said to them, "Hear me, all of you, and understand. Nothing that enters one from outside can defile that person, but the things that come out from within are what defile." When he got home away from the crowd, his disciples questioned him about the parable. He said to them, "Are even you likewise without understanding? Do you not realize that everything that goes into a person from outside cannot defile, since it enters not the heart but the stomach, and passes out into the latrine?" Thus he declared all foods clean. But what comes out of the man, that is what defiles him. From within the man, from his heart, come evil thoughts, unchastity, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, licentiousness, envy, blasphemy, arrogance, folly. All these evils come from within, and they defile. The Gospel of the Lord. I'd like you to imagine for a minute coming to the rectory with me as I serve you lunch, and this is what you'll be getting. A piece of beef that has been boiled for 5 hours, peas that have been boiled for 4 hours, and 8-day-old bread. Who wants to come have lunch with me? You know, you won't get much more boring than that. And that's why things like herbs and seasonings and spices are so important to us, because they give a savor to the food that we eat. And even that garbage that I just talked about could be fixed, depending on how it is handled. It could be fixed. It could be turned into something pretty decent. But without those herbs and spices and seasonings, everything is a disaster. And so to me, it's very interesting that all of the goods that are brought to Solomon by the Queen of Sheba, the one that is highlighted most especially at the end of our excerpt is the spices. Okay? It's never again did anyone bring such an abundance of spices as the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. So now his banquets can be even that much better. And spices are so important to us. You know, I remember that I had, when we were doing a couple of years ago, the dialogues with regard to the beginning, the 50th anniversary of the opening of the Second Vatican Council. And I had Rabbi Silberman and his wife joining us for dinner and over there. And I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do with this dessert? I don't even remember what the dessert was, but I wanted some kind of whipped cream topping on it. And I said, I know what I'm putting on here. Pumpkin pie spice. He thought he'd died and gone to heaven. He asked for the recipe. You know, it was great. Just little savoring things like that. We forget sometimes that the biggest motivations that people had for trying to find a way to Asia, whether it's Columbus or any of the other people, was they wanted to find the spice route, you know? And one of the reasons why Venice became so powerful for good 300-400 years was because it became a center of the spice trade. And so spices are the essence of life, and they give savor to things. This is what the joy of the gospel is supposed to be for us, according to Pope Francis's vision. To let the joy of the gospel be the savor that brings people to attract them. We don't want them to be attracted to boiled beef and stale bread. We want them to be attracted to good things, to joy, to happiness, to holiness. We want attraction. The last thing that I think we need, and this is a very Jesuit mentality, it seems to me, the last thing we need is a lot of people coming to the church for fear of punishment. What we want instead is to attract them with joy and beauty and goodness and let them rejoice in it. If anybody goes to Rome, for example, and goes to the church of the Gesù, which is the great Jesuit church there, it was the beginning of what came to be called the Baroque style of architecture. Exuberant, joyful, rejoicing in all the goodness and attractiveness that you can possibly have. In other words, letting people celebrate the benefits of the sacramental life and being part of the Catholic Church rather than pointing fingers and threatening. Yeah, sometimes you got to do some finger pointing, but more often than not, what we need to do is to allow people to savor the good things. So today, may the Lord make us his good spices and herbs and seasonings to bring joy to others and let them taste the good things of Christ. Let us stand and pray.